Hi everyone, Last Epoch is releasing soon, and one of its most important features is the Monoliths of Fate. This is the endgame system. This is the main endgame activity that you're gonna be doing after you have finished the campaign in Last Epoch, and I want to use the opportunity to talk you through how that works. If you have played other ARPGs, it reminds a little bit of a mix between Diablo 3 Rifts and PoE maps. And there is a bit of like a, agency, a bit of a choice that you can do in terms of like what you farm and how to farm it. But in the grand scheme of things, you're basically running like maps that you can like recycle over and over and, kind of progress as you go. So what you need to know is that when you finish the campaign, you're going to end up here in the end of time. This is kind of like the town hub in the end game. So there's like a bunch of vendors and all that. And then you have these monoliths. And these monoliths have 10 separate timelines. So you see them here. This is like the first one, 1, 2, 3, and so on. They all have their waypoint as well. So you can actually kind of physically go there in the game. And then you climb your way up to here. So there are normal monoliths and then there are empowered monoliths. The normal monoliths are basically kind of like the end game quest line. You kind of like grind your way through the end game and then you finish the quests. And then eventually you're gonna climb all the way up here to the top 3 ones. And once you have completed those, they are level 90. And then you can empower monoliths. And then everything, all of the monoliths, they become kind of like the, the same like end game difficulty, level 100. And this is where you're gonna spend most of the time grinding once you have completed that. And I can show you how this looks. So if you go to one of these waypoints, for example, here we're currently in Ending the Storm timeline. And here at the waypoint, you can just TP there, and then you click on this thing, and this is how you enter. So this is what I just explained. There is the normal timeline, which is designed for a lower level. So this is something that you progress through right after the campaign. And then once you have finished all of the normal ones, or at least the top ones, you can go into the empowered ones. So we're going to choose this because this is where you're going to be grinding. And this is the interface here. So you have these this web of different maps, and you can always choose to run one or the other. So you start out here, this is like the center of the web, and you see here when you zoom out, it can get pretty large actually. So here's like a recording of mine, for example, where I show this. So you can actually kind of like advance through this web of echoes, they're called, and kind of like choose whatever you want to play. So for example, here, this is the start, and now I can choose to click this one. And then I'm going to run this map. There's going to be a portal that opens up basically. You're going to go through this map. And then you finish this. And then once you have done this, you can go to the next one and you can go there. And you see here that you can always just choose whatever is adjacent to one you have already completed. And here, those I can see, but I cannot actually choose them. So when you click on them, it also tells you, for example, here on the bottom right, some information like the modifiers, what you're gonna get in terms of like a buff, and also what are the rewards. So every single monolith, every single echo has a certain reward. So you see this here, it has also this icon here, this is gold, for example, and then it has this here, this is runes, so it's like a crafting material. And then you have this here, it says tomes of experience, it just gives you like an XP boost for your character. And then for example, up here we have wands and catalysts. So if you look at the bottom right, it always tells you what you're going to get. Now, what is important to know is that every time you run an echo, you also start stacking up modifiers. As you see this here, it says new enemy modifiers. Enemies have plus 42% increased health. And then it has like this little icon next to it. So there's like a dangerous mod basically, or like an enemy mod. And it says 5. So this means for the next 5 runs, including this one that you're doing, enemies will have those modifiers. And now, for example, if you turn off the cam, you can see this here on the bottom left, that currently I actually have 2 of those modifiers active from previous runs. So I see here enemy modifiers. This is the stuff that I stacked up already before this run. So it says here high health enemies take 44% less damage and enemies have 51% endurance. And there's stuff like, enemies have more attack speed and enemies are deadly when you don't hit them. Enemies have health regeneration and all these kind of things. So it is a bit important to kind of look at what you're gonna get, both in terms of the rewards, but also in terms of what you're actually putting on the enemies, because your character may not be able to handle it so easily. Now, one important thing that you have to strive towards in those monoliths is the quest echoes. So you see this here at the top, there's a bar that says stability. So the way that stability works is it's basically a bar that you fill up as you complete individual echoes. And when you click on this, it will say that on the echo rewards on the bottom right, you get timeline stability. This is just the baseline that you get for completing it, 26, and then up to 54 bonus timeline stability. So when you go in there, you can basically clear more, defeat more monsters, and then as you basically go beyond what is necessary, you get more bonus stability. So this can be important, for example, if you try to keep it easy and not stack up so many modifiers. You can eventually fill this bar here relatively fast without actually doing a lot of completions. However, most of the time the strategy is to just like rush to the objective, get done as fast as possible and go to the next one so that you can get those guaranteed echo rewards and that you can just expand the web more quickly. But again, there may be some strategies, especially if you're kind of feeling like on the weaker side right now, to make it easier by actually full clearing some of those maps so that you get more stability out of it. Now, what does the stability do? Well, you see here there are these individual checkpoints on this bar on the top, and at the first and the second there are these quest echoes, and the third one is the boss fight. So every single monolith, if you go to the big overview again, so these are the timelines, every one of them has a specific boss fight, and you can actually target farm these bosses for certain loot and also for blessings. So this is another thing I'm going to go into in a second, but basically there are certain rewards attached to them. So what you want to do is you want to try to fill up this bar up to the third checkpoint basically, and then you can do the boss. And every time you do the boss, you're also going to get the Gaze of Orobus. So this is another thing, at least I believe this is an empowered monoliths only, I'm not 100% sure right now. But basically there is another special boss that you can find that is like the monolith boss that can appear in any of those monoliths. So this is separate from stacking up the stability, and instead you just find this as one of those echoes. So you see this here, for example, this is for my recording. This is like one of those things that it appears like a bit further out on the web as you build the web up. You see here, this is like a rather large web already when you click on this. So you started out somewhere down here and went all the way up. And then eventually I found one of these Orobus boss echoes. So this is another special echo. And you see here in the rewards that it resets the entire web. So like this, you can kind of keep running the entire thing. It's not like you're going to fill up the entire web and then it's, done basically. But instead it resets and then it adds corruption. So what does corruption actually do? Well, corruption is basically the difficulty level of these monoliths that you stack up over time. So basically, as you progress through the end game, you're going to get stronger, and then you can stack up corruption to increase the monster difficulty and the rewards. So this is about to change a little bit in the actual launch. So I'm not 100% sure about the numbers, but TLDR, monsters become tankier and more dangerous. So you see this here again. I'm going to turn off the cam. This is like this purple icon here. So you see I have 167 corruption right now. And it says that enemies have 83% more health and damage. So this is just like a multiplier that applies no matter what, at any time, as soon as you have corruption. So at the very minimum, once you go into those empowered monoliths, you're always going to have, I think, minimum 100 corruption. So this means like a minimum like 50% more health and damage. And then you can stack this up more and more and get more rewards out of it. With higher corruption, you're going to get more rewards, more drops, and so on. So you see this here, for example, there's increased rarity, increased experience gained, and so on. And the way to stack out this corruption is by defeating Orobus, which is like a special boss encounter that has also special loot that you can find as one of the echoes. But every time you do that, you're going to reset the web. So you see this here when you do the boss fight. I think I'm doing it here. The cool part about this boss is actually it is always different. I think he always gets like 3 random abilities out of like a pool of I don't know how many, like 20 or something. So he always has like, different abilities, different damage types, and it always makes this encounter kind of like a new challenge, which is a pretty cool system. But basically this is like, the main like monolith boss that you're going to encounter over and over. And this is how you stack up the corruption. Now there are some advanced strategies around, for example, stacking up corruption extremely fast in case you're playing like a super OP build or something. But I don't want to go into detail that much. TLDR is you can actually stack up more of these Gaze of Orobus by filling the stability timeline, doing the boss here, and then every time you get a Gaze of Orobus, it gives you extra corruption next time you defeat this guy. So this is kind of how that works. And like this, you can actually ramp up corruption really fast in case you have a very powerful build. But I think ultimately, This is not really something that is too important for newcomers. But what is important is that you fill up the stability bar. So I'm going to show you another clip here. So you see here, I filled up the entire bar until the third quest. You don't actually have to go all the way. You just need to hit like this 800 something stability, and then this quest echo is unlocked. You don't really have to do like the first two. It's only important that you do the last one, at least in the empowered monoliths. I think the first time you do the normal monoliths, you have to do the quest lines like 1, 2, 3, but usually you just fight the boss at the end. And then once you have filled up the stability, you can do this quest echo here. So this is kind of like this monoliths, like this timeline's boss. And you see here it has like a specific boss fight, and you fight this guy. He has a specific loot table, so you can actually target farm certain things. And then once you defeat him, you get this reward here with the blessing. So what you need to know about blessings is every single monolith. So again, if you go in-game here, every single one of those timelines has their own pool of blessings that you can get. These are permanent buffs for your character. They're basically like passive buffs that apply to you at any time. Some of them are drop related, and some of them are character power related. So you can see this here, for example, this is a blessing that gives me critical strike multiplier. So every time you defeat this timeline's boss, you get a choice of another blessing, or you can like maybe get a better roll to one that you currently have. So you see here, this is like one of the timelines that has like a drop, like an item related reward for your blessing. And then there's others that have, for example, this crit multi, or for example, here there's like extra maximum mana, and here's like critical strike avoidance. And there's like a selection of blessings in each of those timelines. So you can actually kind of farm them over and over, defeat the boss over and over. So it kind of like ties into each other by, first of all, ramping up the corruption, so ramping up the difficulty, and then, target farming exactly the right blessings that you want, so that you have like the most powerful character in the end. In game, you can see your blessings here. When you open the inventory, there's the blessings, and you see here, those are 10 blessings. So exactly, this matches the 10 timelines. So I've done all of them at least once, and I have one blessing of each. And then there's also, you can see the selection of blessings that you can get. Or you can also see them here, for example, in the Maxwell guides. So there's a bunch of Maxwell articles here that we have, for example, from Fluffin, who is one of our, like main writers here on Last Epoch, and he's actually done some really good write-ups. So you can actually see some of these like beginner strategies as well. There's also the empowered monoliths, where you see some of the details, and you can actually see, like, for example, the unique boss rewards. You can see all of the blessings. You can see exactly how the corruption works and all that kind of stuff. Now, another cool thing about target farming in this game is also that each of those timelines has their own specific drops. In addition to the boss drops, when you go here, you can actually see that, for example, this Ending the Storm timeline actually has specific rewards they can target farm. For example, here it says exclusive echo rewards, and here you have a chance to grant unique or set melee weapons. So swords, axes, maces, daggers, polearms. And likewise, you can go to another timeline, and that might have like unique or set helmets, and this one might have boots, and so on. So in addition to farming a certain boss and maybe get a certain unique item from that, or you want to maybe try to min-max your blessings a little bit, you can also farm certain monoliths just to get a certain like unique weapon that you want to try to get and for your build, for example. So you can just see this by looking at those monoliths here, or you can again look at our guides. So this is also like somewhere here in these articles where we have each of the timeline rewards actually spelled out. So for example, we also have this monolith page here on the Maxwell Last Epoch branch, and you actually have like an interactive map here. You can click on this, either as a boss guide or, for example, this monolith guide, and they have a page for every single one of them. And here it says, okay, in this Ending the Storm timeline, it says, okay, it's themed around cold and lightning damage. So for example, early on, you might not have all the resistances capped. You can actually kind of take a look and see, okay, which kind of monsters can I expect there, but also, it can target farm a certain unique here, and, get gloves and so on. And further down here, you can also see, for example, all of the individual unique and set items that can drop here. So for example, if this is like the glove and the boots echo or something, then you can see, okay, this is like, those are all the unique gloves, and they have a higher chance to drop in a certain timeline. And like this, you can get exactly the items you want. Now, when it comes to actually doing those runs, I can just show you an example here. I'm just gonna like open one of these. I don't know if you have many choices here right now, but you basically just go in, there's like a little portal, and then you start the run. And there are different kinds of maps and different kinds of objectives. So you see here right now, it just says, okay, like slay some enemies until you locate some guy. So basically it's kind of go around and wait for that objective to update. So that's like one of the more simple ones. And you just kind of like blast through those maps here. They can be smaller, they can be larger. There's also like different map types. For example, sometimes you have an objective right from the start and it says, okay, go there, destroy this structure, and then go there and destroy this structure, and then you're done. Or sometimes you have to like find like a little beacon at the end and then you have to charge it. So there's like a circle and then monsters spawn and you have to defend it for like a minute or something and then it's over. Sometimes there is also like patrolling enemies that you have to hunt down so you can actually see them on the map, and then you have to like try to chase them basically until you encounter them. And sometimes there's also arenas. So arenas are a bit special, where it's just like a kind of like a very small map. It's like literally like 1 or 2 screens or something. And I see here now the objective popped up, for example. So we go in there, we do these guys, and then this is basically the monolith here. And now we're done with this one. So now you can click on the open portal, you go up back to the Monolith of Fate, and this one is complete. Just increased my stability now, so you might have seen this on the right as well with like the bonus stability. There's like a bar that fills up. You get the reward here. Not very much is showing on my filter right now, but yeah, there's more stuff if I turn off the filter. And now this one is completed. So you see this here, there's a check mark. We can't run it again, but we can go to the next one and then to the next one and so on, and we can kind of build up our stability and then eventually do the quest echo and then eventually find Orbis and do Orbis and increase our corruption, raising the stakes and raising the rewards. Now there are some other special echoes that you can find here. For example, this one. This is like something that's usually located right next to the start. It allows you to reduce corruption again. So maybe you've overdone it a bit and maybe it's like just too difficult. You can actually just run this one, for example, and then reduce corruption again. So there are some kind of things like that. Or for example, if you respec and you have like a weaker build than before, for example, you can actually run these kind of things, reduce the corruption a little bit, and then kind of like build it up again as you grow stronger. There's also like some more like special monoliths. You can see these here in the advanced monolith strategies post. But for example, there's the beacons. So beacons are just special monoliths that you can find. I don't have one here right now, but let's say this one was it, and it just reveals a large radius of echoes around itself, so you can maybe like see like 3 or 4 steps ahead or something, so you can kind of see where you want to go and maybe find a boss or maybe find another special one. There's also like some other ones where you can reset and run the entire monolith again without actually resetting the web. So for example, I go all the way up here, I go like a straight line, I get some rewards, and then I can find like this reward reset, and I can run the entire thing again, getting all the rewards a second time. So if there's like certain rewards that you're trying to target farm, for example, here I want those ones, and then here I want like set items. If I try to hunt something down, I can try to do all the rewards a second time. So those are some special monoliths that can pop up there. And there's more like that, where you have like more advanced tools to actually like min-max your monolith strategies. And that's also pretty much it for how the monolith system works. So again, like as you actually play through the end game a long time, and you experience all of it, and you like make a really strong character, it's gonna come pretty naturally, and you're gonna start recognizing, okay, this timeline has this boss, okay, this timeline has these kind of maps and these kind of monsters. So there are obviously some there's a system basically where you can like identify and kind of like get ready for certain encounters and these kind of things. But in the grand scheme of things, the system is fairly simple. So what you need to know is stack up the stability so you can do the quest echoes and fight the boss at the end for the blessings, and then increase the corruption by fighting the Shade of Orbis. So once you have found one of those echoes, you can run it, and like this you can kind of like go to higher and higher difficulty for better rewards. And this is pretty much all there is to it. And basically, as you progress your character and get stronger and stronger, you might be done, trying to farm a certain unique item from one of those timelines, and maybe have a really good blessing roll that you're really happy with. Then you can just move on to the next one, or you can, like switch it up sometimes and, just run this one and then complete the next one and then complete the next one. At least the first time you do all of them, you might want to try to do all of them once, so you get at least some blessing in all of them. Since you always have a choice, you can get usually at least something that applies to a character in some way, and then can try to min-max it later down the line and try to grind out those perfect blessings that actually give you like the best rolls, for example. So you see here, this one with the critical strike avoidance, it's a very good stat. It's like one of the best blessings to get here, and it can roll from 50 to 70, and I only have a 58% roll. So in my case, I might want to go back and try to grind out this monolith a little bit more, trying to get a better roll here. And like this, you kind of slowly make your way up to level 100 with your character and find better and better loot and kind of, improve your overall character power. So I hope that this video helps you to get started in Last Epoch in the end game. So I tried to give you like a good overview of like how it works in general. Of course, there are, some of those advanced strategies, and I really encourage you to go check out some of these max roll articles that our guys have written here. They're very detailed, and they give you like a really good overview, give you all the lists of all the blessings, items, whatever you can do. So really good stuff. I will have this linked down in the description. And that's it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed this. Stay tuned for more Last Epoch content. I'm really excited for the launch. So of course, I'm going to be releasing stuff. I'm going to be racing, so it's going to be fun. And let's see what we can do. Hope you like this, and see you guys next time.